Our air traffic controller, Todd Yeary, joins me right now. Todd, thank God we didn't have to have a major disaster for you guys to plead the case for change. You guys have been schooling me on this for a decade. How not new is this, and why hasn't it changed?
Well, Chris, first, good to be with you, and you still look good even back in 2019, so let me put that on the record. Let's go back to 1981. August of 81, Ronald Reagan disrupts the air traffic control system by firing the entire controller workforce that had gone out on strike after he made a promise to support them in the 1980 election. The reason I know so much about it is my father was one of the PATCO controllers who was fired. I come from an air traffic control family. I was hired as one of the last cohorts, as part of the last cohorts, to backfill for that disruption in 1981, and that was in the late 80s. What you then had was a setup of persistent attrition, a number of retirements due to a mandatory retirement age of 56, but you're not creating enough of a training pipeline to be able to replace fully certified controllers with other fully certified controllers. And now add to it the need to keep up with the technology that was constantly advancing and the seeming inability for the government, the Congress, and whoever was sitting and occupying the Oval Office not being able to be in sync to make sure that we were keeping pace with the modernization required to operate the most absolutely safe airspace system and most fundamentally essential airspace system to a global economy in the world. And so here's what you've got. You've got the accumulation of issues, an overstressed workforce, an overstressed supply system, an overstressed equipment reality, and not enough persistence to start moving through the process of upgrading these facilities and making sure that we keep the best air traffic control workforce in the world.
Todd, is there any reason to look at why this happened in terms of intentionality, to lose radar and voice comms and the redundancy system not firing? That's a lot to go wrong at once. Is that just about equipment and personnel, or might this have had an intentional aspect to it?
Don't know. Don't know enough to be able to say whether or not there could have been some form of sabotage. I've not heard that. But when I think about a 90-second disruption, by the time you have a loss of one and you start going through your checklist for the system to return, it's just enough time to say, yes, it seemed to be timely in terms of the response. 90 seconds could be very disruptive, but there would be a number of things that would be going on simultaneously. Sterilizing airspace, shutting down flights, making sure that the tower, which we hear Newark controllers advising departures that they might not be able to make contact with air traffic control, so they would rely on other procedures. Those things are moving simultaneously, but what it does say is we've got enough stressors on the system from a number of different points, and not just the mid-air collision at Reagan. We've got persistent issues that requires the full attention, not the politicking, but the principled response to making sure that the air traffic system is as reliable as we've come to know it to be.
What percentage of the problem is a term of DEI-motivated hiring and training in your estimation? Don't start laughing before I finish the question. That has been used as a boogeyman during the DCA incident. Now it's being used to explain why the pilot, the military pilot, may she rest in peace, made bad judgment calls, arguably, and that's why the FAA communication may have been off, and that's why this may have happened. What is your response to that notion?
Well, first of all, we still grieve those we lost in the mid-air collision at Reagan. We are still aware of the challenges that we've seen in other fatal incidents in Alaska and in Philadelphia after the takeoff just a few days after Reagan. But as you can tell by looking at me on camera, I'm not your average historical air traffic control guy. And I don't come from the average background of the makeup of the air traffic control workforce. And so when the president starts throwing around issues with DEI, it feels like a personal affront to me, as if those like me and others who look like me could not do the job. And it would cause one, and the reason I got into this conversation is to really challenge that head on, that you can't scapegoat the workforce.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.